They called him the Son of Heaven, the ruler of all under the sky. But before he was a god to his people, he was just a boy, a prince, born under a dragon star, raised in a court of whispers and daggers. This is the story of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, the man who unified a warring land, built a wall through mountains, and feared death more than anything else. So much so, he drank mercury, believing it would make him immortal. Our tale begins not in the splendor of palaces, but in the chaos of the warring states. Time when China was not a single nation, but a patchwork of rival kingdoms. Among them, the state of Qin was the most feared, militaristic, disciplined, ruthless. At just 13 years old, the boy who would become emperor inherited the throne. His name then was Ying Xing. Even as a child, his presence was unsettling. Courtiers spoke of his cold eyes, his unnatural calm. Some whispered that he didn't blink. Others said he was born with a strip of black jade clenched in his fist. But whatever, he was clever and paranoid. He had to be, for behind every silk curtain in the palace lurked betrayal. He learned early that to rule, he must control everything, people, thoughts, even time itself. So when he came of age, he began the greatest campaign of unification the world had seen. One by one, he crushed the other kingdoms. Han, Zhao, Wei, fell beneath his armies like grain beneath the thresher. And in 221 BCE, for the first time in history, China was whole. He declared himself Shi Huangdi, the first emperor, not Lord Emperor, and then he began to reshape the world. He burned books that did not praise him. He buried scholars alive who spoke against him. He standardized weights, measures, currency, and even the width of cart axles. He ordered the construction of roads that stretched like veins across the empire, and walls that snaked like stone dragons through mountains. He built irrigation systems and unified law codes. He replaced feudal power with direct rule from a centralized imperial court. He restructured the nobility, giving more power to those loyal only to him. But in the stillness of his jade chamber, under candlelight flickering against golden tiles, he was terrified. Despite all his power, he could not command time. He aged. His joints ached. His skin grew pale. His dreams filled with ghosts of the kings he had slain. And so, he turned to alchemy. These were not charlatans in tattered robes, but court-appointed scientists. Men of learning, philosophy, chemistry, and ambition. They told him of the elixir of life, a potion that could halt aging, that could make the flesh incorruptible. And one ingredient, they said, shimmered like moonlight and flowed like water. Mercury. They called it cinnabar when read. It fascinated ancient cultures across the globe. The Romans believed it was the seed of the gods. In India, it was sacred. To the Chinese alchemists, it was potential. And to Qin Shi Huang, it was hope. He drank it daily. Tinctures infused with gold, pills molded with mercury, tonics brewed with herbs and minerals gathered from sacred mountains. His court watched silently. They watched his moods darken, his skin grayed, his temper flared. He became erratic, paranoid, and obsessive. He ordered expeditions across the seas to find mythical islands where immortals lived. Hundreds of ships, thousands of men. None returned. He became convinced that the spirits of the murdered were plotting against him. He built hidden chambers within his palace to sleep each night in a different one, so no assassin could find him. And still, he drank. The mercury continued to pool in his body. It aided his nerves, his organs, his mind. But before the end came, he ordered his greatest project of all. Beneath a hill in modern-day Xi'an, workers carved chambers deep into the earth. They shaped rivers of liquid mercury to flow through canals lined with bronze. They painted constellations on ceilings. They constructed traps of crossbows and poison. They laid out a vast underground palace, complete with banquet halls, miniature cities, and models of mountains and rivers, each meant to mirror the empire above. And they buried thousands of clay soldiers, each unique, each life-size to stand eternal guard. This was not just a tomb. It was a kingdom beneath the earth, a realm built to house an emperor in the afterlife. He believed he could rule there too. He believed Mercury would preserve his body forever. He believed, even in death, he could be eternal. But history, as it does, refused his request. In 210 BCE, while on a tour of his empire, Qin Shi Huang fell ill. The records say he died suddenly, but those close to him knew his body had been failing for months, poisoned by the very thing meant to save him. His ministers, afraid of chaos, kept his death secret for weeks. They rode in a sealed carriage with rotting fish beside his body to mask the smell. They forged his final letters and orders, naming a puppet heir. There was panic behind closed doors. Ambition stirred among the generals. The alchemists vanished, fearing retribution. But the illusion of order held, and when his body was finally brought home, the tomb was sealed. To this day, the inner chamber has never been opened. Scientists fear disturbing the Mercury, which still flows through the underground rivers he designed. So he lies there still, beneath a mountain of earth and stone, in a coffin soaked in poison. A god who feared death. A man who became legend, and the king who drank Mercury.